Well, hello and welcome back to the N Scale Workshop. And today we're going to be talking about tips and ideas and different things that I've come up with over building these things in the last couple of years, and use some of the ideas that I came up. Maybe they can help you, maybe they can't, I don't know. But I'm going to be using this roll of masking tape that I got from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using this stick. And I'm going to be using these fairy lights that I got from Home Depot. So before we get into all that, the first tip I want to talk about is in printing. You guys made a couple comments in there about printing, and they were very good comments. And I'm glad some of you are finding much more success and printing flat and having arguments with your friends about full buildings or not full buildings. But the truth of the matter is, guys, for us, without doing the mini sculptures and everything else and all the statues that everybody does, printing flat is our best bet, especially when it comes to buildings. Now, I can show you a little tip later on how to print sculptures using a halfway doing it, but that's another story. The other thing I want to talk to you about is line size. 0.5 is the lowest I'll go. We use a 0.4 nozzle, and if you take 0.3 and make your line, and it looks good on paper and it looks good in the design, but you're going to have it disappear. And I'm going to show you a little demonstration of that using my slicer, and then giving you a preview of how that works. And I made a couple samples of that in some windows that I actually use in my buildings. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that. But the largest you should go is 0.8. If you go to 1.5, you're going to see that the window doesn't look really right. It looks bulky. It looks like it's a toy. But if you want to make it look real, 0.5 is your limit. Is pushing it at 0.5, because sometimes depending on how your structure is. And the other thing about windows and doors, always try to think of it on the most flattest side. When I make a window or door for a building, I make a flange on the outside of it, okay? So that wall has something to hit against. And then the detail, or like just like in real life, it would be like a reveal or like casing. It would have the outer casing and then the inner casing. And that's the way I design my windows. When I first did them in the blacksmithing and stuff, I made them press fit tight, and I thought that was okay using a block of wood. But you know what? Forget that. That was a bad idea. So now all my windows have a flange on the inside, and it's perfect for that, because then I can get my lights to work perfectly. Don't worry about whether the lights on your window, which are talking about those plus signs or whatever, those lattices things. Don't try to reveal those. Don't try to set those up higher, like 0.5 or 0.2. Don't do it. Print them flat. You're not going to see that kind of detail. Now, you could, like in the church that I did at Trinity Church, I was able to actually, when printing flat, like I said, and bringing the reveal up this way, I was able to make a little reveal on the top of the window so it looked like a double hang. And it came out really, really nice. But if you want to see that, I can show you that in another video. That Trinity Church, by the way, was one of my best challenges I ever did. I was able to actually create stained glass windows using paper. And it really blew my mind how it came out. And I've even used that in one of my other displays for an anniversary gift I made for me and my wife. It was for the Beard and Lady, I think it's called, and somewhere over by Arkansas. Anyway, but you can do that if you want, but I wouldn't go no thicker than 0.5. You can go as high as you want, but the idea is to print everything flat and then work your way up. And there's a reason for that. The less supports you have in your building, the better it's going to look. And the 0.2 is what I use to undersize my windows and doors to make sure that they're going to fit. So if I have an opening and I make that opening a square, and I want to put a window inside of that square with a flange on the outside, I make that 0.02 from the actual opening. I don't do 100% to 100%. And I'll show you in the slicer how you can also do this if you're not working with the programs and things like that. That's one of the other tips I want to share with you about windows and doors. Very, very important, actually, because if you print out a nice building and you can't put in your windows and doors, you just kind of shove them in there, or they're too tight and you have to scrape them down or scrape the opening, you're not going to get that same perfection you could get as if you printed it right the first time. It's just the facts. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to give you a little demonstration on that later on. Another is going to be painting and finishing. And I might be able to do that here, but that's where this stick comes in. And then that's where this roll of tape comes in. Now, everybody, or not everybody, most of the people on YouTube say when we print miniatures and things like that and do the statues, they want you to use blue tack or black magic tack, or little clips, alligator clips they use for electrical wires, and then to hold your fine parts, or maybe make a little stand with a little bunch of blue tack on it, and then you just do your fine painting. We don't do that with the buildings. It's a whole different ball game for us. So I came up with this way of doing it without going into the miniatures and everything else in the statues and holding down my parts to be sprayed. And I'm going to show you a demonstration video of that later on also. That's going to be another tip. Another tip I'm going to be talking about is painting. I can talk about this right now. When you do your lighting on your buildings, because we're working with PLA, it's a translucent material, especially when it comes to white. I don't care if you turn it in black. It's not going to be totally opaque. So your best bet, in the old days, they used to do this a lot with the plastic kits and the mold injected ones anyway. A lot of the guys would paint the inside of their building black, and that way the light would not penetrate, and they used a thick acrylic paint. And then that way the light would not penetrate through the walls, but only penetrate where the windows are, and it gives it a really nice effect. I can show you some examples in other videos. I'll show you some samples upstairs where I didn't do that on some of the layouts that I did. And these are Christmas layouts, where you can actually see the roof bleeding through and stuff, and you'll get an idea what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about that. And the next thing we're going to be talking about is SMD lightings. And the Harbor Freight sells these fairy light kits, and I'm not sure, they're like $9, $7. I mean, you can buy them cheaper if you get them after Christmas sales. But these are the same fairy lights that all the Christmas displays, or fairy lights they call them. These are little SMDs. These are the tiniest little LED that you could possibly find. And they work really well with the 470 ohm resistor. That's all I use in all my buildings. So if you're buying a ready-built kit from me, and it's in Lindy's store, and it's going to have lighting, it's going to have these. Sometimes I use conventional 3mm, but most of the times I like these because these make nice lights for overhangs in buildings like I did in the Northwest Depot, and they're just tiny. And I'm going to show you in another demonstration video how I take this enamel, burn it off with a small butane lighter, which is actually like a handheld lighter, and then sand it down so I can get good contact. And these work fantastic. And you have an endless number of them. You can see that they're all wrapped up around here. In some of my experiments, I've even used a controller just to get the lighting effect for like when I did the Polar Express, but I'm not doing that anymore. So we're going to talk about that. And then we can talk about that right now, using AI. Don't be afraid to use ChatGTP to ask it questions. I use ChatGTP when I take a real size building, say it's 130 feet by 40 feet or 60 feet or 80 feet or whatever, a factory, let's say. And I say, can you scale this down to me in millimeters? Well, ChatGTP can do that. It can scale it down into millimeters in N scale for me. It explains it a little bit, but don't worry about that. You don't need to use that model or scaler anymore or figure out the mathematics of it, which you had to do in the old days before we had the AI. The AI also helped me to learn how to make a wash. And my washes are what I use on that power plant. And people have explained or expressed, I should say, how pleased they are with the weathering technique and how realistic it looks. Well, that's because of the wash. And the wash, there's no secret to it. It's basically mixing acrylic paint with a little bit of, I use this, matter of fact, I can probably show you right here. I use this Equate Baby shampoo, and I use a little bit of water and a little bit 90% rubbing alcohol. And I mix it all up until it gets like a really watery consistency. And then what I'll do is I'll take a piece of plastic, spray it with Krylon, would be the bricks or whatever for the power plant. I do a sample, okay? I take my wash and I make sure and I put it on there and I test it to see if it's consistent enough to stay on there. And don't worry if it overbleeds, because you'll be amazed. I've got pictures to show you. Matter of fact, I did some examples of that, of really wet. It was on there on the brick. And then after it dried, my gosh, it looks realistic. And that's the latest ready-built power plant that I've got. And this time I did it with blue windows. So don't be afraid to use the AI. The AI can help you with your DCC setups. The AI can help you with giving you ideas for the area that you want to design, the different buildings that you want to design. AI has come a long way, and it can be your friend. It can help you, guide you in your model railroading. So don't be afraid to use it. I do. I use it all the time. I also do other podcasts called Torah Science, where I talk about the Torah and talk about AI and the interpretations I get from the different Hebrew readings and stuff. But that's the other part of me. This is my hobby. So those are the things we're going to be talking about today. And then at the end of the video, we're going to have like a little contest. And in this contest, what we want to do is I'm going to take a building that I'm going to pick out online. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not even going to show you the reference pictures or nothing. And to see if I really am getting the realism detail that I'm getting from the real picture, that you could recognize it once it's built, I'm going to start flashing a STL file that's on the slicer, and I'm going to flash it on the screen. And I'm going to say, okay, here's your first clue. And I'm not going to give you all the details. I'm going to give it all away. And we're going to do this for most of the videos. And at the end, before I begin to assemble the building, and we're going to take that same building that I just picked out at random and designed and created in Inventor and all that stuff. I'm going to show you, if you want to see those steps, then you have to say so in the comments, because I'm not going to necessarily do it. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of speeding up. It may be boring to you. I don't know. But you got to let me know. And you guys have been telling me what you want to see. So that's why I'm staying with the printing stuff and how you can get better at your printing. And I'll also talk to you about bed adhesion later on in other videos and stuff like that. But anyway, so getting back to our contest. So what I want to do is to see if you can guess the building before I begin to assemble it. I'm going to start showing you pictures. I'm going to start showing you maybe a couple pictures, maybe give you some hints, and maybe Lindy will put some hints in the social media, like in her X, Instagram, and we'll kind of play it up that way. The winner will get either a fiber optic uncoupler or a tool of his choice, maybe even a ready-built building. We haven't decided that part yet, but it's going to be a nice gift. And if this takes off and you guys like this, then we're going to go ahead and you can challenge me to build a building for you and go that route. And then we can see down the road where that would go. But that's the idea. So anyway, well, as I was talking to you earlier, this would be the little demonstration of using this stick and using this Dollar Tree masking tape. And here are some parts. Move it over for you. So it's real simple. All I do is take the masking tape like this, pop a piece off, turn it over, and then I just tape it to the board like that. See? Then I take the extra tape here on this side, put it on there, stretch that tight, wrap it around, and now I have a nice sticky surface. Now watch how this works. So we're going to get ready to spray paint these. Let's pretend. This is how I do it. So it sticks really good. Okay, now watch this. See? You can spray, and you cover all that, and it doesn't fall off. And then when it's done spraying, you just pull it off. Now, of course, the spray will take care of all that extra stuff, but there you go. And that's how I work with spraying flat parts using stick and Dollar Tree tape. So that's one demonstration. The other thing I wanted to show you is using this Harbor Freight SMD lights, or fairy lights they call them, right? And what I do is I take the little nipper here, and these are what they call SMDs. And I just click the top. I don't know if you can see that or not, if it'll focus on that. It might not. There it goes. Okay, and then what I do is I take and I spread these out like this. So they're separate. Okay. And I have two. And I don't know what's negative and positive. I don't need to know what this positive. I just need to get them separate. And then I'll take a butane lighter that you can get at Harbor Freight like this. And I'll just go ahead and heat those up till they burn a little bit. Then I'll take my sandpaper and I'll come in there with the sandpaper And I'll just work my way around. Make that so it's bigger, like that, and three kind of a circle. It's hard to see all this at the same time in this low lighting, but anyway, I'll show it to you. And I could do a better job without all these camera and equipment and stuff in the way and trying to figure out what the distance is and stuff, because that's the hard part about working with shooting a camera like this. Then I wanted to show you, now we have the SMD in there, and then I designed this little tester that I use, and it just has a regular 3-volt cell battery. It's 2032, and I hook it up to this switch right here, which has 2 leads on it, and then this way I use this to tell me what's positive and negative. And just to show you how when you clean it, it's clean because it makes contact. There you go. And that little SMD light right there works really, really good on our N-scale layouts. If you can see the brightness of it maybe with this, I don't know, maybe you can't, maybe that's better, but it's not too bright. Use a 470 ohm resistor. I can show you what that would look like, I guess. I'll pull that out of my drawer. Let me move this out of the way. I do suggest you make yourself a little tester like this. And if you can't, I can help you wire one up if you need help with it. Just ask. I get these from Amazon because we used to go to 20th Century Electric in the old days, but those days are gone. They don't have those anymore. They're all sold out. Anyway, that's a 470 ohm watt resistor. You can tell by the color band, and it says it on the package too. When you order them from Amazon, 470 ohms, I should say, not watts. And anyway, I put that on the positive side, solder that on. I can use a 9-volt battery with that, 18-volt battery, any kind of, because it reduces the voltage down to the SMD, so it doesn't hurt it. So, and as you can see, you have an endless display of fairy lights that you can use. And what I went ahead and did, and I will go get the Christmas lights that were, you can get them on Amazon probably still. But I would, they would come with red, green, and yellow, and they'd be all wind together. And I would unwind them, and I'd make little clips like this. And then I would use these in my cantilever lights, or signal lights, or warning lights, or stop lights, or whatever. So now we're going to go into the demonstration for the last one anyway for today about the windows and about the lines, like I promised you before. So I open up my slicer. I use Ultimaker Cura, and I check for all the settings, and it looks good. And I have 6 printers, but I have 3 different types. And then I load up my test files. Now, I made these test files for you, and these are 3 different size windows that I used and created. These are actually from one of the kits. And I just resized the lights or the cross pieces inside for you to understand what I'm trying to show you. Now, when they come in default, they come in not the right proper orientation. So what I need to do is lay them down flat. So I click on one side and Cura, and every program is going to be different, but you need to figure out what your program is. And so I get them all flat, and then I flip them around to make sure that they're all, after I arrange them, that they're all laying flat on the table. And that light blue tells me that. That's just because I know the program. Now, what I want to tell you is on the top one, that's 0.3, the middle one's 0.5, and the bottom one is 0.8. Now, when I slice them, you're going to see the top one lines basically just disappear. You don't see them. It's a gray spot. That means there's no line there. The middle ones look really good, and they look realistic. The bottom ones kind of look bulky and kind of toyish-like. So now I'm going to show you by bringing down the layers, do this all quickly, and then show you how I raise it up from the bottom. So I get this double hang look with doing all my detail from the bottom up, like I described to you in the video. And this is my demonstration for that. By doing it this way, my windows fit because they all have that 0.02 reveal on the inside. The middle one is the normal one. So then once I have all my windows, I go ahead and multiply them because I may need 10 or 12 sets of these. And there you go. Arrange them and then print them. So that's my demonstration for you using the windows as an example, and showing you how the line can disappear right before your very eyes if you go too small. That's my argument for that. So now we'll go back into the closing, and that'll be it for this video for the helpful tips. I hope this all helped. And now the closing. And I hope this helps. And then please like and subscribe and share. Thank you for watching these videos. We need to get to 500 subscribers. I'm 190 right now. The reason I want 500 is because then we can start making money on this, advertise, and get more notice to other people. And we want to start doing train clubs. We've got a lot of plans for this channel. We've got a lot of plans for Lindy's store. So help us get there. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Share with us. Share it on social media. Other people. Train clubs. You know, we can't share on train clubs on Facebook because that comes off as advertising. But maybe you can. Maybe you can say, hey, I learned something. You can go watch this channel here. Something like that. That would help us out a lot. So thank you for coming to this channel. We look forward to you in the next one. So as we promised you, here's the first clue. And these are the two pictures for your clue. Look for more clues in Lindy's social media and other things that are associated with our website. Thank you very much.